What's up, guys? Let's talk about how to join the International Legion for the defense of Ukraine. By far, the number one question I get asked is how do you join? I have gone over it in a little bit in multiple videos, but I've never designated just an entire video to how you join. It won't be very long because it's not that difficult, this video. And joining is not that difficult, but I want to make it very clear cut. I want to explain how I did it and how multiple of the guys in my unit did it, and that's it. So first off, let's do this. I pulled up a couple of things that I want to show you guys. If you are not great with your geography, oh shit, let's back it up here. If you're not great with your geography, here is the map of Europe right here. Your best bet, and what almost everybody that I know has done, fly from the US, which is way over here to your left, right? Fly from the US, you usually have a layover in London, UK somewhere, and then you're going to fly into Poland. So from the US to Poland. Now, you're going to want to land in Warsaw or Krakow. I land in Warsaw every time, but I think most people actually land in Krakow because Krakow is a shorter bus ride to Lviv. Warsaw is a little bit longer here to Lviv. It's really that simple. In order to travel from the US to Poland, you need a passport. Most people know to travel internationally, you need a passport. So that's really it as far as the travel goes. You come in here, fly here, you take a bus from Krakow or Warsaw, one of these two, into Lviv. Lviv is where you're going to meet the people for the International Legion. You're going to meet the recruit. You're going to be meet the people in the recruitment office in Lviv. Now, with that said, let's pull up the International Legion site here because there's some things that have changed since I've been in. Also, I didn't give a background of myself, and I do that every video. Sorry about that. My name is Saxon. I went by Vegas in the International Legion. The guys still call me Vegas. I am currently in Ukraine. I'm no longer in the Legion though. I joined the Legion early 2023. Before I was in the Ukrainian Armed Forces, in the International Legion, which is a part of the Ukrainian Armed Forces, to be clear. I was a firefighter and an EMT outside of Fort Worth, Texas. So here is the International Legion official website. It's ildu.com.ua, International Legion for the Defense of Ukraine, right? Now let's come down here. Candidate requirements. This is important because this can weed out if you've been considering joining and you don't meet the requirements. This could, solve your questions about if you're going to go or not. 18 to 60 years of age. This is the legal age limit set by Ukrainian legislation. No criminal record. So this one has some leeway. I knew multiple guys in the Legion who had been to jail, had DUIs, did some time for certain crimes. I wouldn't call them necessarily career criminals, but they definitely had a criminal record and they were still allowed to fight. I think the big things, we're talking like serious assault charges, rape, stuff like that. They don't want to see any of that. So I'll say minimal criminal record. No chronic diseases. They're not really going to check you for this. During your training in the training base in Western Ukraine, they will take you to a medical physical, basically, and it's very simple. They knock on your knees, they bend your arms, they ask you if you hurt anywhere, they check your eyes, check your ears, and then they decide that you're good to go. What's important to remember is these people that are testing you to see if you're qualified to join the Legion, they want you to join the Legion. They want people to help fight. So it's a little bit different than, like, let's say the U.S. military, where they're just looking for the smallest things to disqualify you, right? Because they have very strict guidelines. This is different. It was kind of an inside joke that we had, that if you did not pass the physical assessment portion, that's because you really messed up. Like, you really got to try to mess it up yourself. You got to go in and say, hey, I'm blind in both eyes. They're going to say, okay, you probably shouldn't go. My vision was pretty messed up. I didn't even wear my glasses to the physical, and I kind of just guessed on the numbers. The lady didn't even speak very good English. She's like, okay, and she signed it, and I was off. um, I was also, at the time of the physical, I had two hurt knees that I hurt in training like a couple weeks before, and I just kind of toughed it out when they asked me if I had anything wrong with me. I was like, no, of course not. So just use common sense at this part of it. That's really it. When you go to your physical fitness test, that I was talking about that because no chronic diseases. This is pretty simple, right? If you've got some serious illnesses, maybe think about, might not be your best option. I take PTSD meds. I have for a while, and I brought them to Ukraine. There was no issue. I had no issues with anything like that. I've had a few people ask me about that. Of course, don't bring narcotics or anything like that, right? Common sense. Physical fitness. All candidates need to be physically capable to perform basic infantry tasks. This is an important one. You will have a physical fitness test before you deploy. So while you're still in kind of like that boot camp, basic training, basic combat training phase, the physical fitness test is not super rigorous. It's not like you're going through special forces selection or something like that. They're going to have you run a handful of laps. You got to do it in a certain amount of time. They're going to have you do a handful of push-ups. You got to do X amount of push-ups in a certain amount of time. To be honest, I don't even remember all of the things because it was very simple. And let's say, they tell you, hey, you got to do 20 push-ups in 30 seconds, right? And you do like 18 or 17 and they see you're working at it. They're not going to be like, yeah, you're out of here. You just did like 5 weeks of training, combat training with us, but you can't do 2 more push-ups, you're out, right? So there's a little bit of leeway, at least when I was there, right? I haven't been in the Legion for over a year at this point, right? So, but it was they just want to make sure that you have some general fitness. And the people that were not physically fit when we were training, they held them back a cycle to get into better shape. And to me, I thought that was a great option. The people who were a little bit heavier, they weren't able to perform. Like, instead of doing 18 and missing your 20 push-up goal by 2, they would get 5. These are the people that they are not going to send straight out to the front line. They want to make sure that you have a decent amount of physical fitness. If you can't run at all, you can't do a couple of laps around the base, and they're small laps, they're going to hold you back, right? So physical fitness, make sure you're in shape. Go on walks, go on runs before you deploy. Most people are ex-military. They know how this process goes. If you're not, like I was not ex-military, get in the gym a little bit before you go. A few months, get into shape. Ability to legally enter Ukraine. This just means make sure you've got your passport. When you get into Ukraine and you join the International Legion, they will give you a military passport, which effectively makes you a Ukrainian citizen. So you don't have to worry about visas or I can only stay 90 days, blah, blah, blah. Once you get in and you're in the Legion, they'll give you a military passport, that little green book. Military or relevant experience is an advantage. It is no longer required. Military experience is not required, but would increase the chances of being accepted. Other relevant experiences might include law enforcement, paramilitary organizations, firefighting, etc. And to give you an idea of kind of how there's some leeway in this entire process, when I went to the Legion to basically apply, I did an interview in person. I did not do the online steps like they tell you to do here. And if you're curious about how that went, I actually just posted a video about how I did it. But I had zero military experience, like I said, and you were required to have military experience earlier on in the International Legion. So during the interview, they asked me questions, and basically they were like, "You seem like you got your head on straight. You have certain training that will be effective in the armed forces. You know how to work in a team in high stress environments, like being a firefighter, right?" So there were things that applied, and they thought, all right, well, it's not military experience, but it's good enough. Let's go. Combat experience is an advantage. Combat experience is not required, but would increase the chances of being accepted. Combat experience might include paramilitary or militias. Yes, of course, this is always a benefit. I will tell you something that I noticed while I was in the Legion. People, especially people who were a part of larger Western militaries, the U.S., England, France, not necessarily France, but primarily the U.S. and England. If they had prior military experience, some of these guys were the first ones to leave when we got to the front line, primarily because they had become so accustomed to, I'll call them the luxuries of a large, well organized Western military, right? You've got CAS-EVAC teams, you've got QRF teams, you've got air support, you've got fire support, artillery, blah, blah, blah. You don't have any of that shit in Ukraine, right? If you get shot in the stomach, you need to administer self-aid, throw a fucking chest seal on that hole in your stomach, and you basically got to sit there until the firefight's over and your guys can pull you out. Okay? So I saw a lot of people with some really serious combat experience that were like, nah, this isn't for me, which, respect to them. They showed up, they already served the country, tons of respect for these guys, but they also knew, they're like, hey, I'm used to fighting this way, this kind of combat. I'm not comfortable with this kind of more, guerrilla kind of cowboy shit. So that's important. Steps to apply: scan your passport, scan the documents verifying your military or relevant experience if you have them, fill in this form. You just click the link here, fill in this form, and attach scanned documents. Send the archive to internationallegion.mil.gov.ua. So that's simple. I was actually just emailing back and forth with somebody, one of our subscribers here on this channel, who said he was just approved. They found him a unit, and he's heading off. So this way of applying is absolutely probably the first step that you should take. Okay. The way I did it, again, this was earlier on in the conflict, earlier on in the history of the International Legion, which has only been around since Putin invaded Ukraine. I did not plan on joining the Legion. I planned to go to Ukraine to help with my firefighting and EMT certificates and certifications. When I exhausted all my avenues of being able to help using these certifications, they told me the best way I can help is probably to join the Legion. So before I had left, I did fill out the application for the Legion before I even left Ukraine. It was kind of just one of those things like, oh, I'll fill it out, but my intention was not to fight initially. So fast forward, I went all over the country. I tried to use my certificates. They said, hey, you should just join the Legion. It's more helpful for us. So I went in and basically just had an in-person interview, like I said, and they accepted me. Okay. What's really funny is, fast forward a handful of months after I did training, after I deployed, after I saw combat, survived, came back to the U.S., I got an email from the International Legion saying, we're sorry, but your application has been denied. After I had already been in Ukraine fighting for the International Legion, contracted in the Ukrainian Armed Forces. So keep that in mind. If you are 100% dead set on getting to the Legion, just fucking go. You could end up waiting months with this process. This is probably the right way to do it, again. But if you've got combat experience or military experience, you're confident in your skill set, you're confident with traveling, just go. Get into Poland, take a bus into Lviv, ask some soldiers, hey, where's the Legion base? And they'll take you there. So that's kind of the quick rundown on how to join the International Legion. It seems simple, right? But it seems simple to me because I've gone through these steps. I was in the Legion for a while. I have directed and explained this to other people. For somebody who is not familiar with the Legion, this whole process can be a little confusing, a little bit daunting. So it really is more simple than you may think. Basically, just hop onto this website, make sure you meet the requirements. Very common sense stuff. Make sure you're in decent shape. Fill out the application, and then you wait. Okay. I hope this was helpful, guys. Like I said, this is a shorter video, but we got a lot of questions about this. My experience in the International Legion was incredible. It's one that I will, of course, never forget. It has led me to creating this channel. It's led me to meeting people that I consider family for the rest of my life and experiencing things that I wouldn't never have experienced in any other position, right? It's a historical moment in the history of warfare, really. There's never been an international legion. There has been different kinds of legions, you know, the most notoriable being the French Foreign Legion, but this is one of the first major modern conflicts, right? It's not like the IDF versus Hamas, where the IDF is a very well-trained, squared away, well-armed military force fighting a bunch of terrorists who have never shot a rifle in their life. Okay, same with some of the conflicts in the Middle East. They were not. You may have some better trained soldiers that you're fighting against, but it's not like fighting Russia, right? So this conflict, it's kind of the dawn of a new level, a new stage of warfare. And the International Legion was born in this conflict. So to me, that's really cool. I love history, and I like the idea of being a part of something like this. For me, it was something that I knew that I could tell my kids and my grandkids when I got older, and it's a big deal, you know. But again, to be clear, a lot of people die. There a lot of the people that I knew out there in the Legion or out here in Ukraine died on the front line. So don't get me wrong, it's dangerous as shit, but do your thing, you guys. This is how you join if you want. I will put this link in the description below, so it's easy. Also, my email is on my channel somewhere in the bio or whatever. Feel free to email me. I email with subscribers every single day and give them advice or answer questions. So with that said, please subscribe, like, share. We've got 1 to 2 videos every single day now. We're posting a ton now that we're here in Ukraine. We're here to stay. So I love you guys. I'll see you tomorrow.